Hey guys, this is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of October 2019, and the time is 4 o'clock here in the UK. I'm going to switch over to an AUDCAD daily chart, and let's get started with the analysis. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for price action setups across all of these pairs. I've just gone ahead and updated all my support resistance areas for these pairs. So it's fresh support resistance areas. I removed everything and started from scratch. Fresh support resistance areas, and we're going to be looking for some setups. Let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark all the setups that I find, and then we'll discuss them at the end. I won't give many details when I first mark them. I find it's more efficient to just go through, mark the ones that I'm somewhat interested in, and then in the wrap-up I explain the potential setup there. Also, we're going to take a quick look at the news. Parliament Brexit vote. So obviously we don't want to be in GBP at the moment. Actually, does anyone know what time this is happening? Just quickly Googling to see if I can figure it out. It doesn't say it here, does it? Because it says tentative, but does it give more details? Yeah, I don't know, guys. It looks like things are ongoing and we're not going to hear anything for a little bit. So let's just say stay out of the pound until we hear a bit more about this. It's just really not safe to trade GBP or the euro right now. Tomorrow we have pretty much zero going on, nothing news-wise. And Thursday we can just discuss on Thursday itself when we do the Thursday analysis. Yeah, nothing much really going on tomorrow. So the only thing that's happening is this Parliament Brexit vote. And we'll just see how this all pans out. But yeah, it does seem like it's ongoing, so we'll just see what comes next. Right, so let's get back to the setups. I'm just going to see if I can find some setups, and I can find some setups. I've got AUDJPY, AUDUSD. I'll explain these in a minute when we get towards the end. Ooh. Seems like it could be a busy day. Right. Quite a few potentials stacking up here, guys. Like I said, I'm going to summarize all of these at the end. Just going to pick them out for now, and then we'll do a summary. And I'll explain exactly what I'm seeing on each chart. Whoa, is it ever going to end? There's too many setups at this point. Another one. Right. Well, that is a hefty list of potential setups. We're going to kick things off with AUDJPY. This is definitely not the best of the setups as it's already broken above resistance. So it's a little high in the resistance area, but there is a nice little indecision candle forming there. So if today's candle closes as indecision, could potentially look for a short on tomorrow's candle. Something like this. I'd actually put my entry a bit lower because it's so high in the resistance area that I'd want it to push down a fair way before I would enter the trade. But there's plenty of room for a healthy risk to reward ratio here. You can go in with 1 to 2 risk reward ratio. Plenty of room for good risk reward ratio. So AUDJPY potential short coming up. AUDUSD, this one looks quite good. It looks very similar to AUDJPY, but at least in this case, indecision is forming on top of resistance. Setup would work something like this. Now this is based on today's candle closing exactly as is. This might not happen. Of course, today's candle can change. It can look different to what it looks like now. But let's imagine it closes exactly as it looks like now, or very similar, without making any further highs or further lows. You could trade at something like this for a pretty decent risk to reward ratio. And it doesn't have to travel that far for the risk to reward ratio. So potential short here on AUDUSD. CAD-JPY, very similar to the others. In fact, all these JPY pairs are probably going to be similar. So I'm just going to stick them all together. So CAD-JPY, we've got a potential short here. Now this one's risk to reward ratio is not going to be that great because of the size of the indecision candle. So this one would be the least likely one that I would actually trade. EURUSD, now this one's already closed. Yesterday's candle closes indecision. But I probably would advise against jumping in short on Euro until after this Brexit vote. And actually, the risk to reward ratio really isn't that great. So I'm not going to trade this one. It's a shame because it's the only one that looks like it's going to trigger today as opposed to tomorrow. But just the risk to reward ratio is not viable on this one, guys. You saw the risk to reward ratio, what was it, 1.3 or something along those lines? Just not viable. 1.27, 1.3. Not viable. So yeah, I'm not going to do anything with EURUSD. GBP JPY, obviously do not trade this until after the Parliament Brexit vote, but even this one, the risk to reward ratio is not fantastic. It's better than EURUSD, but it's just not great. So I'll keep this one on because it's an acceptable risk to reward ratio, but it's not great. I'm probably not going to trade this one myself. We got SEK JPY also. This one has a pretty small indecision candle today. What I would do with this one would be place my entry below today's indecision and my stop above yesterday's. I think that's probably going to be much safer. Even drop that entry lower just to give it a bit more confirmation that sellers are in control, and you can still maintain a pretty solid risk to reward ratio. So something like this, the entry being roughly 11.2262. Euro AUD, want to stay out of this one until after this this upcoming vote. Because the vote can have a big impact. I've dropped down to the 12-hour just to see what this looks like on the 12-hour. Now, you could do this on the daily, trade it on the daily based on today's indecision candle closing something like what it looks like now. And you'd have a pretty decent risk to reward ratio. Or if you want to enter today, you could do that by entering based on the 12-hour. Because it is making new highs, right? It has made a new high, rather, already in this current candle. But I would say definitely wait for the daily on this one, guys. But there's a potential long here on Euro AUD. Euro USD, we got a potential short. There are so many setups today. It's crazy. You could actually enter this one right now. I was wrong. It wasn't only EURUSD, it's this one too. You can enter this one right now. You do not need to wait till tomorrow for this one. Not at all. Well, sorry. Before anyone jumps in right now, remember that we need to wait for that Parliament vote to end. So not right now. After this vote, which I don't imagine is going to be too long. I'm just having a quick look at this this kind of live news feed on the Brexit stuff. Labour Shadow Chancellor tweets that Prime Minister and Dominic Cummings are in a state of panic. Doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like it's going to be accepted. But we'll see. We'll see, guys. Potential short here on New Zealand CAD. Pretty straightforward short. Wait for today's daily candle to close. Potential short here on New Zealand USD. Again, you want to wait for today's daily candle to close. Now, whenever I say wait for today's daily candle to close, you have to keep in mind that with my strategy, there's always flexibility. Now, you could drop down to the 8-hour chart if you want to. You could drop down to the 6-hour chart. You could drop down to the 4-hour chart. Especially here on the 4-hour chart, you could already be in this trade based on the 4-hour. The indecision candle's there. So you could have done something like this. And you could already be in this trade. Now, I personally tend to wait for at least a 12-hour or the daily because I find that it's much safer setups on those time frames. But some people prefer to trade on the lower time frame. So any of these setups, it's worth taking a look at on the lower time frames. If you're open to taking a riskier trade, you can get in earlier on the lower time frames. Now, I recommend you don't do that with GBP or Euro, but you could do that if you want to. The general rule of thumb that I have with any trading strategy is the lower the time frame, the more the trades, but the bigger the risk. So lower time frames equals more trades, but riskier trades. Higher time frames equals less trades, but less risky trades, more profitable trades. That's generally how it works. Or instead of more profitable trade, let's just say higher win rate. Because it's not necessarily a more profitable trade because the lower time frames generally get you in earlier. So the trade itself on the lower time frame is usually more profitable, but the win rate on the higher time frames is usually higher. Anyway, USDSGD, looking at this on the daily, but as I was just saying, feel free to drop down to a lower time frame if you prefer to get in earlier. But this is a pretty good setup here on the daily, waiting for this daily candle to close. If it closes as is now, I'll be looking for a long with an entry around 13630. So this is roughly what it looks like here. And so you could have got in on the 8-hour already if you wanted to, but personally, I'm going to wait for the daily. Actually, what about the 12-hour? Let's take a quick look. Yeah, you could already be in on the 12-hour, but like I said, I'm going to wait for the daily. So just to summarize, AUDUSD, I'm looking for a short at around about the 68.50 level tomorrow with a target of around about 76 pips and a stop of 38 pips. AUDJPY, I'm looking for a short at around about the 7423 level with a target of 131 pips and a stop loss of 65 pips. CAD-JPY, and if there's any questions, guys, please do ask them now. CAD-JPY, entry of around about 82.69 with a target of 82 pips and a stop loss of 51 pips, but this one is I'm very unlikely to enter because the risk to reward ratio is just not great. GBP-JPY, we're looking at roughly an entry of 139.35 with a 39 pip target and a 22 pip stop loss. Again, risk to reward ratio is not great here. SEC JPY 112262, 194 pip target, 93 pip stop loss. Euro AUD entry at around about 1.6255 with a target of around about 122 pips and a stop loss of 49. Euro USD entry 1.1130, 117 pip target, 58 pip stop. New Zealand CAD 0.8372 entry, 114 pip target, 54 pip stop. Keep in mind, these are just all rough numbers. Obviously, we don't know until the trade setup actually triggers, because we need the daily candle to close first for most of these. So do not take these numbers as gospel. Do not just put entry orders at these numbers without understanding what you're doing. This is just a suggestion based on what we're seeing right now, but this could change by the time these setups are ready to go, which would probably be tomorrow, if at all, because they could all get cancelled as soon as this Brexit vote happens and the market goes crazy. Who knows? But anyway, New Zealand USD 0.6399, 71 pip target, 39 pip stop. And USDSGD, we've got 1.3629 with an 82 pip target and a 30 pip stop. Once again, are there any questions, guys? And to the Forex Mastermind Complete members who have not yet signed up to the new chat room, I strongly suggest you sign up to the chat room. We had another great day of trading in the chat room. The chat room is basically a place where we share low time frame trades as opposed to these daily chart trades that you're seeing here. We're trading the 5, 15 and 30 minute charts in the chat room. The reason we're using a chat room instead of the forum is because they're a lot faster paced, these types of trades. So they're not really ideal to a forum setting. If you've not joined the chat room yet and you're a Forex Mastermind Complete member, I suggest you jump into the chat room, because it's not like it's free to Forex Mastermind members, and you're pretty much losing nothing by jumping in, and you're gaining a lot because we are sharing some really nice trades in there, and it's going really, really well. Chat room is a new feature for those of you who are unaware of this. I forgot to say hi to everyone. Hi Sydney, Steve, Ali, Tom, and Lauren Tao. I can never remember how to say your name, man. Sorry. Lauren Tao. I'm gonna say Lauren Tao. Laurentio sounds so much better. It sounds Italian. Laurentio. I like that. It's a really good name, actually. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm pronouncing it like an Italian would. Yeah, there is lots going on the charts today, Tom. And there's a lot going on in Europe today with this Brexit stuff. Looks like this vote's not going to go through though. Well, the vote's going to go through, but it looks like the Brexit bill is not going to go through. Sorry, I was just playing the live stream. I'm going to watch this live stream. It's happening on YouTube. Here's the link, guys. More interesting live stream than this current one. I should kind of say that sarcastically because these Parliament live streams are pretty dry usually. But that being said, this one could be an interesting one because they are discussing Brexit. So here you go. They started streaming 3 hours ago. There's 8,000 people watching. So if you do have some time to kill, might not be a bad stream to check out. See what happens with Brexit live. Because it's likely going to have an impact on a lot of these pairs that I've shared with you guys today. Well, not a lot actually. It's only really GBP, JPY, EURUSD, and EURUSD. The other one should be fairly immune to the Brexit stuff. With very big news, you can always have a bit of a knock-on effect, but that's usually only when USD is involved. GBP and Euro tend not to have that much of an effect on anything other than the Swiss franc, CHF. Now, when you're talking CHF, they can definitely have a bit, Euro can definitely have a bit of an impact on the Swiss franc. And I'm not too experienced with SEK, which is a Swedish krone, or NOK. They're pairs I've only started trading recently. So I don't know what kind of an effect Euro and pound news can have on those pairs. I imagine it could possibly have an effect on them. So do keep an eye out for an impact on these ones too. In this case, today, only SEK because we're not looking at any NOK pairs. So I'm just going to move these to the bottom of the list. These are the ones you want to keep an eye out for in terms of Brexit stuff. And you want to just be a bit wary until after this debate and the voting. So GBP, JPY, definitely don't want to enter this until after. Euro AUD, EURUSD, which is unfortunate because EURUSD is already triggering. And SEK JPY, just to be safe, SEK JPY. But that's fine with SEK JPY because that's not going to be a trade until tomorrow anyway. Anyway, guys, that's it for the analysis. Thank you guys for attending. Doesn't look like there's any questions, so I'm just going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for attending. And I'll... No problem, Ali. All of this week's webinars are going to be at 4 o'clock or something like that. So yeah, thank you guys for attending, and I'll see you for tomorrow's webinar, which should be at the same time, roughly.